The sound of desperate breathing was the first thing that sliced through the quiet afternoon. Single dad Ryan Malik, on his way home from his cleaning job at a local hardware shop, never expected the moment that would change everything. He had taken the forest shortcut, something he rarely did in broad daylight, but that day, fate pushed him there. Just a few steps into the trees, he stumbled upon a sight so chilling it made his heart slam against his ribs. A woman in a police uniform lay slumped beside a broken patrol bike, her shirt darkened with blood, her lips trembling as if fighting for life itself. She looked young, strong, yet frighteningly fragile. It was as if life was slipping out of her, one shallow breath at a time. And in that instant, he realized he wasn't stumbling onto an accident, he was stepping into someone's final plea for help. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and everyday heroes, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Heart of a Father. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. Ryan dropped to his knees despite the fear rattling through him. He had seen enough hardship to recognize real danger, but nothing prepared him for blood pooling on the ground in broad daytime. "Stay with me, stay awake," he whispered, not sure if she could hear him. Her eyes fluttered open. There was pain. There was fear. But there was also a silent plea, "Don't let me die here." Her name badge read Officer Zara Hale, and he didn't know then, but she was one of the most respected patrol officers in the region. But in that moment, she was simply a dying human who needed help, and Ryan had no hesitation. He tore off his own shirt to press against her wound, his hands shaking as he tried to keep pressure. His phone battery had died earlier, bad timing, as always. There was no help coming unless he went for it, but leaving her alone wasn't an option, and carrying her? She was taller and her gear added weight, but survival didn't negotiate with convenience. So Ryan lifted her, gritting his teeth as pain tore through his muscles. For a man who worked double shifts to raise his 8-year-old daughter, strength came not from the body, but from love, responsibility, and stubborn will. Step after staggering step, he pushed through the trail, whispering to Zara to stay awake. Her head rested against his shoulder, her breathing shallow and fading, every second felt stolen from death. By the time he reached the roadside, sweat soaked his back and his arms felt numb. A passing truck screeched to a stop when it saw them, and the driver, shocked and frantic, rushed them into the back. Within minutes, sirens roared in the distance as they reached the nearest emergency center. As paramedics pulled Zara away on a stretcher, one of them looked at Ryan and said, "If you hadn't brought her in right now, she wouldn't have made it." He didn't feel heroic. He felt terrified for her. Terrified for himself. Because he knew that once he gave his statement, his day wouldn't end. And he was right. The police swarmed him with questions, urgency in their voices. Zara wasn't just any officer, she was known for taking down dangerous smuggling groups. The fact that she was found injured in broad daylight suggested something more than an accident. But Ryan had no answers, only the truth. He found her. He carried her. He brought her in. That was it. Hours passed before he could go home, and when he finally opened his door, his daughter, Noor, ran to him with her small arms wrapping tightly around his waist. Her brown eyes always softened his world. "Baba, you're late." "I got scared." "I'm okay, my John," he whispered, holding her close. But the weight of the day pressed on him long after she slept. The next morning, Ryan received a call that startled him. A senior officer named Captain Mahir Rowan asked him to visit the station. Ryan feared they would suspect him. He feared they would drag him into something dangerous. But he went, because innocence shouldn't hide. To his surprise, Mahir shook his hand firmly and said, "Ryan, you saved one of our best officers. And she's asking to meet you." Zara was still pale, still weak, but her eyes were clearer now as she lay in the hospital bed. She blinked with emotion when she saw him standing near the door. Ryan expected gratitude, maybe a soft thank you. He never expected tears to gather in her eyes. "You carried me, you didn't leave me there," she whispered. Ryan felt awkward, unsure how to respond to such emotional vulnerability from a police officer. Anyone would have helped. "No," she breathed. "Not anyone." Zara told him the truth. Officers had been receiving threats. She had been targeted. When her patrol bike crashed after being rammed, she knew she might die before backup arrived. "You saved me without even knowing the danger." That's more courage than most trained officers. Ryan didn't feel courageous. he felt ordinary, tired, and overwhelmed. But Zara looked at him as though he was anything but ordinary. Over the next few days, despite Ryan's attempts to distance himself, the police kept checking in with him. Zara's recovery turned into something unexpected, a bond forming between two people who were never supposed to cross paths. She asked about Noor. She learned about his struggles as a single parent. She discovered he worked 3 jobs to survive after his wife passed away from illness 2 years before. She saw resilience in him the same way he saw quiet strength in her. Zara was known by her colleagues for bravery, but beneath her uniform was a woman who carried her own scars of long hours, loneliness, and the haunting weight of cases gone wrong. Healing in a hospital bed made her reflect on life she had ignored while chasing justice, and somehow, without trying, Ryan became part of that reflection. Meanwhile, the investigation into Zara's attack intensified. The department discovered she had stumbled upon a smuggling ring transporting illegal arms. The attackers were still out there. And when word spread that Zara survived because a man found her in the forest, the police force grew protective, not just of her, but of Ryan. Because whoever tried to kill Zara would not be happy knowing she lived. One afternoon, Captain Mahir pulled Ryan aside. "We want to relocate you for a few days. Just until we get the suspects." The idea shook Ryan. "I have my daughter. She has school. I have work. And you'll have all of it back," Mahir said gently. "Your safety matters." Ryan reluctantly agreed. The next few days were tense but strangely comforting. Zara visited him every day, walking slowly with a cane. Noor grew attached to her quickly, handing her drawings and asking about her police stories. For the first time in a long time, Ryan saw warmth bloom in his daughter's world again, and in his. But safety never lasts long when danger is still hunting. One afternoon, while Zara sat on the couch talking with Noor, a loud crash came from the patio. Police inside the safe house reacted instantly. Everyone dropped to the floor as 2 masked men attempted to break in. Ryan grabbed Noor, shielding her with his body while chaos erupted around them. Shots were fired. Officers shouted. Zara, despite her injured condition, dragged herself toward them, yelling for Ryan to move back. Within minutes, police backup arrived outside, and the attackers fled into the woods. When everything fell silent, Ryan looked down at his daughter, trembling in his shaking arms. Zara's eyes glistened with guilt. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "You got dragged into this because of me." Ryan shook his head. "No. I helped a human being who needed help. And I'd do it again." That sentence struck something deep in Zara. The next day, the police finally caught the criminals. Zara was safe. Ryan was safe. And life slowly began returning to its ordinary rhythm, except something between them had changed forever. Zara visited frequently, not because she needed to, but because she wanted to. She helped Noor with her homework. She laughed at Ryan's dry humor. She shared stories of her work, her fears, her hopes. She opened parts of herself no one in the police department had ever seen, and Ryan, who had been carrying grief like a silent shadow, began noticing light again, soft, slow, unexpected, but real. One sunny afternoon, Zara stood outside Ryan's home, healed and in full uniform again. The department held a small ceremony to honor the man who saved her life. Officers clapped, Noor beamed with pride, and Ryan stood stiff, shy, not used to attention. Zara stepped forward, pinning a small honor badge onto his shirt. "You saved my life," she said in front of everyone. "And you reminded us that bravery doesn't come from uniforms. It comes from the heart." Tears filled the eyes of officers who rarely allowed emotions to show. And in that moment, the police force didn't just see Ryan as a civilian, they saw him as a hero. As the crowd dispersed and Noor danced around happily, Zara quietly approached Ryan. Her voice trembled with sincerity. "Thank you for giving me more than a second chance at life. You gave me a reason to live it better." Ryan looked at her, feeling something warm and unfamiliar rising in his chest. "And you gave me something too," he said softly. "A reminder that I'm not alone. Life didn't magically become perfect, but it became hopeful. And sometimes, hope is the most powerful change of all. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Heart of a Father. Your engagement helps us bring more emotional, real-life inspired stories to the world.